If you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and you're feeling the pressures of societal demands, this video, I'm going to provide you with 3 power pack tips to get unstuck and free. My name is Tabitha Christopher of tabithachristopher.com. My company founded the Mind Style Makeover Bootcamp, also known as MSMBC. It is a character and resilience building training program that provides students in college, high school, and middle school with the roadmap to thrive inside and outside the classroom. You are tuning in to Mind Style Makeover Monday. Now, if it's your first time tuning in to the Mind Style Makeover Monday, welcome, and I hope you come back. If you are a regular, good old trailblazing friend of mine, and you've been around these here parts for quite some time, I'm so glad that you are back. Make sure that if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, that you follow the YouTube channel, subscribe, you like, and you share. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, if you're watching this on Instagram, once it posts, you guys go ahead, engage with the content, like it, share it with a colleague, share it with a friend, share it with a peer, so that they too can be a part of our Power Packed Mind Style Makeover Mondays chat. Now, why should you watch tonight's Mind Style Makeover Monday chat? Well, like I said briefly in the beginning, if you're feeling stuck, trapped, in some ways suffocating, feeling condemned, shame, struggling with doubts, self-doubts, or debilitating beliefs of you're not enough, I encourage you to watch tonight's Mind Style Makeover Monday chat. Now, here's the challenge. The constant bombardment of messaging that says you're not enough. The fear of, let's say if you're a student, the fear of being passed over for a spot on the team. Maybe you were going for captain and the competition is pretty stiff. And you're fearful that you may not get that position, and it may be your second to last year in high school, or your second to last year in college, and you're really hoping to get that spot. Maybe you're watching this and you're a career professional, and you have a fear of being looked over for a promotion that you've been working diligently to have the opportunity to serve in. Maybe you are a fellow business owner, entrepreneur like myself, and you have fears of maybe losing a contract or customers to competition, or maybe you're a parent and you are working overtime to make sure your children have everything that they need to succeed. And you may have the fear of, what if my child ends up making a bad decision that could derail their life? You may be watching this from different positions in different parts of your journey. I want to first, before I share with you the dream that I had, that I saw many of your faces in, I want to first encourage you to know that you're not alone. Oftentimes we get caught up in our own thinking that, oh my gosh, we get overwhelmed with situations that's happening. Things are happening so fast. And at one moment you're thinking, I got a handle on life. Everything is going smooth sailing. And then all of a sudden, a storm of life comes in and throws in, what's going on? What's going on, Trinity? What's going on, cousin? Storm of life comes in and throws in a wrench into your smooth sailing. And you're like, I was just getting a handle on everything. And then all of a sudden, pop, 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 the hurricane winds, the trees snapping, and it's like things are seem like it's getting out of control. And you may be thinking to yourself, who can I turn to? Who would understand? Why am I going through this? I thought that I have passed this in my life. I should have been able to figure this out by now. Then we find ourselves going into this cycle of condemnation, then shaming ourselves, and then feeling guilty for not knowing enough. All of that. And I just want to encourage you to know, Trailblazer, you're not alone. Okay, when you're going through those cycles and those thoughts and those situations, those challenges, those life storms, all of that, you're not alone. There are more of us than not that are going through similar and some worse situations. Now I want to share with you briefly, if I can, parts of the dream that I had early in the wee hours of the morning, this morning, before the sun broke out. I woke up. I have no idea what time it was. I know it had to probably be between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. I woke up to use the bathroom. And then I was like, you know what, since I'm up, let me talk to my Heavenly Father. So I went to talk, and next thing you know, I had fell back into a deep sleep. And then this dream came. And I saw myself, I was wearing a really cute black outfit. I don't typically wear black. I like, as you can see, I like to wear bright colors that pop. But I was wearing this black outfit, and it appeared as if I had just come from a funeral or was headed to one. I don't know. But that black outfit, there was something that was synonymous with the heavy feeling that I felt in my physical being. And so I knew that I was in a different country, and that country was India. And I was accepted into this prestigious program, and only a select number of individuals were accepted into that program. Okay, here we go. And sorry, guys, I have notifications coming through. Put it on silent here. There we go. Excellent. And it was all women, and I could remember feeling really concerned and worried in trying to figure out, how did I qualify to get into this program with all of these amazing leaders from around the world. And I'm rushing to get to the next class. And as I'm rushing to get to the next class, there wasn't any paved roads. It was all dirt. This campus was built on just dirt. And it was in the mix of, the campus was in the mix of this town, this smaller village where there was vendors on the streets. There were some businesses off to the side, and then there was classes that were up in these huts that were elevated above the ground on stilts. And I will admit, there was some part of me thinking, how is this one of the most sought after prestigious doctorate programs, and it's in a place that looks like this? I know that there's more beautiful places in India than this. Why did they choose this part? Was what I was thinking, just to be honest. And so when I got to the class, I was rushing to get there first because I didn't want the other ladies to see the dirt that gathered all on my shoes and on my legs. I wanted to present myself in the best light possible because this is the first class where we all were going to be together. So I get to the class, I'm sitting on the floor, even though there were empty desks everywhere that was available. I'm sitting on the floor in a corner just in case anyone gets there early, they may not see me as I'm trying to change out of the shoes. So as I'm dusting off the dirt off of me, others started to rush in. And I could sense that the urgency that they had, they were thinking the same thing that I was thinking. But when they noticed that someone else was in there, they quickly put aside whatever they were planning on doing to dress themselves up. Long story short, as I looked across the classroom, I saw faces from my present and from my past that were sitting in those seats. Many of these women were dressed to impress. However, because of where the campus was located, and you had to walk through a lot of dry dirt, and some who were taking classes on the other side of campus, they had to trudge through muddy, wet grounds to get there. So some had clay-like mud on their shoes and on their feet. Some of them had gotten dust kicked up in their face. And I'm looking at each one of them, and they look worried, exhausted. And all I kept thinking to myself is, man, I hope that none of them see how I don't qualify to be in this room with them. The professor spots me in the corner and she invites me to sit amongst the class. She says, there are seats, there's desks available, please go have a seat. Or are you doubting that you have any place to sit amongst these prestigious women? I didn't respond to it. I just acted like I didn't hear it. I just acted as if she probably talking to somebody else, right? So I get up, I go to the seat, sitting next to this one lady who had brought me out to do some training, some years out for her students, and I asked her if I could sit to the desk to her right where she had her bags and all of that stuff off the ground, and then she moved her stuff and put it on the other desk to her left, and she commented on my shoes. Then the professor opened up and she said, many of you who have been chosen to take part in this prestigious doctorate program are wondering why you were chosen over the many other thousands that applied. Am I right? No one wanted to look around, no one wanted to make eye contact, and no one wanted to respond. Then she pointed out two women that were in the room that were dressed in rags, pretty much. And she asked each of those women to introduce themselves. And trailblazers, when each of those women opened up their mouth to share their story and then went into their achievements and accomplishments, everyone in the room jaws dropped, because as we found out shortly thereafter, every single one of us had been judging them based on what we saw from the outside and not taking time to get to know their story, who they are, what they've been through, who they've become, and where it is they hope to go. They were the most humble, unassuming women leaders. But they had great influence and power. And they were intentionally asked to dress in rags to see how the others would engage and treat them. Thankfully, no one treated them badly, but yet again, no one was paying them any mind either, out of fear of, I don't want to be associated with someone that's, quote, less than because of the exterior, because of what if they're not close to matching up to my achievements. Anyways. So the professor went on to teach about that class, and that class was on leadership. What is it? And how has society defined and measured leadership to be? How society tries to determine who should be a leader, who is qualified to be a leader. Then the professor then asks for each woman, she pointed to us to go around the room and for each of us to share 30 seconds of our story and our accomplishments. And in those 30 seconds, the things that were chosen to be shared The professor then pointed out, I noticed that none of you talked about the dirt roads that you had to take to get here. I noticed none of you spoke about the mud that others of you had to trudge through to get here. The dirt and the mud, and why this campus is where it is to remind you that it's not about what it is you are reaching or what you have accomplished or what it is you're trying to achieve. It's about the journey of what you have overcome to become who you are today. It's to encourage you to not look at where someone else is versus where someone else isn't, versus where it is you think you ought to be based on what society says about you, as if society knows you and the journey of what you have gone through. A professor then encouraged us to try again. And she said, I will start this time. And she began to share about the mud, about the dirt, about the moments in her life that others would be like, oh, how is she opening up and sharing of those harsh, hard times in her life? She even went as far to say and share about the challenges that she was having right then and there in the present moment. Then she said, let's try again. And she opened up the floor for each person to talk about the mud, to talk about the dirt, to talk about the challenging times, the times that nearly broke us. But then as we sat there and we listened and celebrated each person's decision to not let the dirt, the mud that we had to trudge through, or for some of us, had mud slung at us, whether it was through gossiping, whether it was through assumptions, whether it was through closing the doors and saying, well, you're not welcome here because you're not of this certain pedigree of education, or you're not of a certain pedigree of economic status, whatever that may be, whatever that mud that was thrown at you. And you chose to not let for those moments to define you and keep you stuck in the dirt. And you got up. When we came in, I didn't share this part with you, but each woman was taking her time to try to do it like inconspicuously, to clean off the dirt, to clean off the mud. And the professor said, that's what we do. That's what we're taught to do. We're taught to wipe away the dirt, wipe away the mud, wipe away all of those hard times and challenges of what we have faced and what we are going through because of fear of being rejected, fear of not being accepted, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being told that, you know what, you're just making it up. So then we clean off the dirt, we clean off the mud. And then we dress ourselves up and we face the world as if we have not gone through anything that's worthy of everything of who we've become. Is this making sense to any of you? Is this making sense? Can any of you relate to this dream that I'm sharing at all? When the class let out, I was rushing down to the market to buy a gift. And in this particular village, it is customary. And okay, so the host family that I was staying with, one of their daughters was celebrating her birthday. And in this village, it was customary to give gifts that are life producing. It is frowned upon to give gifts that are dead. You don't want to give dead gifts. And I'll explain the difference as how it was revealed to me in the dream. Life gifts are those that are able to, in the right environment, can reproduce itself. Life gifts of life. And that could be, you could be giving them words of life, speaking words of life through a poem that speaks well of, speaks well over them. So it could be a poem, a written poem that you would then recite to them, and you're speaking words of life over them. It could be seeds. You could give seeds as a gift, seeds that you went to a good vendor, and they're good seeds that when planted they will reproduce like itself, right? You could give flowers, anything that's gifts of life. Things that are considered dead are materialistic things, like you don't want to give them like a tech device, phones, clothes, shoes, like that type of stuff. They didn't want that. They wanted things that could be reproduced and that could benefit and be passed on and continue to reproduce itself. So I thought, okay, let me go get a couple of flowers, because this young lady, she likes flowers. So I went to the marketplace, and I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough money to buy flowers. And I was so petrified, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here for this prestigious program and I don't even have enough money to gift the host family's daughter on her birthday. So I'm standing in line, and the line moves very quickly, and I'm next, and I'm looking at what the vendor has to offer. And I noticed that there's this very unique flower that is in this clear cylinder vase. I also noticed that the vendor positioned his stand in half shadow and half light. I noticed that, but I didn't ask any questions. The flower was positioned in the shadows. So it was positioned just right, so that when you looked at it, the light reflection that was hitting the cylinder vase, glass vase, it made the flower look very beautiful. Like it was almost like alive on its own. And it was a cut flower. There was no bulb to it. And I said, man, this is a beautiful flower. I'm sure she could figure out how to make it, survive and live. And then a voice inside said, before you buy this flower, put it into the light so you can see its true nature of where the true nature or true state of where it's at. So I happened to put it into the light, and oh my gosh, trailblazer. That flower was sick. It was on its way to die. I was like, oh my goodness. So, but I was too ashamed and too proud to put it back. Because I don't tell a man I'm going to buy it. I don't tell a man I buy it. So I put my words to it, so me want to take back what I say. Okay? So anyways, I then looked for another flower, and I saw it had a bulb on the base of it. And I said, how much is for that one? He said, well, I'll give you two of these flowers for $25, 25 US dollars. Now, I know he was trying to rob me blind, but again, I didn't want to stand out too much. And I went ahead and started looking through my purse for the money, knowing I didn't have enough to get those two flowers. And then that fear and overwhelm started to come over me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. The line is getting so much longer. And I'm sure everybody knows that I'm here for this prestigious program. And then they're going to be like, oh my gosh, how can she be here? She doesn't even have the money to get this gift. All of these thoughts are running through my head. And then in that moment, as it was about to cloud my thinking and overwhelm me, I said, the Lord will provide. That's okay. The Lord will provide. And those thoughts backed up. They backed up. And I looked through my wallet again. I looked through it so many times, and I looked through it again, and there was $40 in there, more than what I needed in that moment. And I was like, oh, I'll just pay with cash. And I gave it to the vendor, took the flowers, and I left. Trailblazer, there are three areas to this dream that stood out to me strongly. And I'm sure I'm going to go back to it because there's so much more to it. The classroom setting symbolized us being surrounded by our peers, our circle of influence, our family, our workplace, where we go to church, where we shop, being surrounded by those that we do life with, whether it's directly every day or indirectly whenever we see them. Classroom setting representing that. The dirt, the mud represents the harsh times that we've been through, that many of you right now are going through some hard times. That's the dirt, that's the mud. And then the dressing up, which we all know how to do very well, and I would never say not to, right? Just, yeah. But when I say dressing up, it's in the hypothetical sense of putting on a mask to pretend. There's a difference between dressing up and not allowing for whatever you're going through to keep you down. But it's another thing to fake it, to pretend as if you've got it all together and that you need no help whatsoever. And in some ways, without even trying to do it, but thinking oneself above others. And oftentimes when we get into that warped sense of reality of creating a world that doesn't really exist because we want to be perceived by others to be perfect, to be at the tip of the game, top of our game, which that's good. It's good to be at the top of your game, but it's another thing to ignore when there's obvious things going on in our life that we are ignoring, that we are avoiding, and we don't want to deal with because we don't know how to, or we just don't, we just don't want to admit that we got problems. I was there, you know? So, and then the judging, comparing oneself to another, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that that's not me. I would never do what that girl did. I would never do what that man did. I would never do that. Judging and condemning and comparing and this and that, right? Or wishing that we had what somebody else had. Or if I could have what that person has, then I would be set, right? And that's coveting, right? And then the giving the gifts of life and receiving gifts of life. That talks about, it goes into the quality of our thoughts. In that very moment while I was standing there in line, I had this whole narrative that I concocted in my head that wasn't real. But I meditated on it so strongly that it was becoming so real, I was having a physiological response to it. That's how powerful our thoughts are. And then in that moment of preventing those thoughts, those negative thoughts from taking over, faith came in. Now you may be watching this and you're like, well, Tabitha, I'm not a religious person. I believe that there is a higher power, or you may believe that there is no higher power, whatever that, you know what I'm saying? But I will, one thing I do want to bring to your attention is that every single one of us live by faith every single day. When we go to bed, there's no guarantee that any one of us is going to wake back up again. You can't guarantee that. There is no guarantee that when you get into your car that you're going to make it safely to your destination. There's no guarantee of that, but you believe that you're going to get to where it is that you intend to get to. And so you get into your car by faith that you're going to get there. Faith is the substance of things not seen. You haven't seen yourself there at that location yet, right? The evidence, okay, so faith is a substance of things not seen. Wait, faith is a substance of things, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So we're hoping to get to work safely. We're hoping to get to school. We're hoping to get to practice. We're hoping to go to bed and wake up the next day. That's faith. We have a hope. So we follow through with doing whatever it is that we're hoping for, but there is no evidence of it actually being a reality because it hasn't happened yet. So we all live by faith. And as I stood there in that line, I had faith and believing that all my needs would be supplied. Trailblazer, if you're feeling stuck in any kind of way, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling pressured by the societal norms, and I'm gonna speak out some of those societal norms that have become a resounding echo chamber that's impacting negatively the wellness and quality of mind for so many around the world. The biggest one that nearly got me many, many years ago, and it was this phrase that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was, it's okay to not be okay. And the first time I heard that, there was a rejection in my spirit towards that phrase, because it speaks the exact opposite of what life is, that phrase in itself. And the more I kept hearing it on media and in conversations and such, and that's how the controlling of minds happen. It's the repetition of hearing a thing over and over again. Then we meditate on that thing over and over and over again till it sounds normal, till it sounds okay, till it sounds non-threatening to your overall health and well-being. Then we start to speak it and bring it into our conversation. And then next thing you know, we're believing it. Next thing you know, when we're having a bad moment, we justify sulking and having a pity party just from that one phrase that we've invited into the garden of our mind. So repel societal norms that says it's okay to not be okay, and instead declare over yourself, it's okay to be better than okay. It's okay to be better than okay. I remember I started saying that in my 20s, when these thoughts, these dark thoughts would be coming in and wanting to pull me down and keep me in a state of depression. And I said, I don't have time for that. It's okay for me to be better than okay. And I declare that right now in this moment, I am better than okay. It doesn't matter what my circumstances are. It doesn't matter what my past was. That's not going to determine who I am and who I'm going to become. I am going to lean into it's okay to be better than okay. Now, there's a feeling shift right away. Trailblazer, listen to me. We're not doing this based off of a feeling. If we're going to be following our feelings, we're in a lot of trouble. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. No, you and I have authority over our mind to let our mind know what thoughts we're going to meditate on. Okay? Another societal norm is that, after 21, it's downhill from here. After 21, honey, that body starts to do some things. And then when you hit 30, oh, it's over. You're over the hill. Trailblazer, the first time I heard that, I repelled it in my teens. And I said, how about this? Every year I'm going to get better. Every year I'm going to get stronger. Every year I'm going to get more flexible. Every year I'm going to get more mobile. Every year I'm going to get faster. Every year I'm going to get better, better, and better. And after the age of 21 was when I went into peak condition. Oh my gosh. I was stronger than I ever was in my teens. And when I got into my 30s, I was stronger. I am stronger now than I was in my 20s and in my teens. I have more energy now than I did in my 20s and in my teens. And those who know me, my family and this and that, they can attest to it. I could run circles around you for hours and not get burnt out. And I'm talking like a high level of energy. Okay. I wear children out. Yes. But this is from seeing and understanding from since young, when people would say things and they would accept these societal norms as normal, and spoke it over themselves and over their family. I said, no, what are you doing? You're not going to speak that over me. And you for sure not going to speak that over anybody that's around me. And you sure not going to speak that over yourself in my presence. I didn't tolerate that. Never have, and I still won't. Repel the societal norms that says, oh, it's wanting friends but hating to socialize. That phrase in itself reveals something telling of that individual, that they hate themselves. It's not about anybody else out there. We want to make it seem like it's about everybody else, but it's not. It's about that saying right there reveals where that person is and how they see themselves. I had social anxiety for a very long time. And I had fear being around people. And you wouldn't know it when you met me, because I knew it was coming from a place of hurt. It was coming from a place of experiencing abandonment, betrayal, and I didn't want to go through that hurt again. And so it had nothing to do with anybody else that was coming around me. I deeply wanted, just as the saying said, I wanted friends. I wanted good quality friends. But the fear of rejection, the fear of going through that hurt again was greater than the desire of wanting to invite friendships into my life. But one of the things that repelled that for me is, okay, it's wanting friends but hating to socialize. Well, how about this? I am a friend. I am a friend. Wherever I go, I'm a person that people trust. I'm a person that people know. I'm not going to open my mouth and say out the side of my face negative about somebody. No, I'm going to go straight to you in your face and tell you what I think. And I will do my best to do it with grace and love, right? But what I see is true love is you don't, you see somebody hurting, you find out what's going on. If you see it, if you're aware of it, okay? If you see something that they're doing to harm themselves, engage. Find out what's going on, right? Don't judge and walk away and not try and do anything about it if you care about the person, right? This other one, dogs are better than humans because they love unconditionally. I get it. I was that person too, where I was an animal person and was like, I'd rather just have animals in my life. And again, that speaks to where I was. And anyone else, I know we have a whole lot of animal loving people out there, more than people loving people. And that's a problem. And if you look at the amount of animal loving people and the least amount of people loving people, look at where our mental health is today in society. The numbers are the worst that has ever been recorded in mankind's history. No surprise. No surprise. So what would be to repel that? Dogs are better than humans? No, they're not. How about we choose to become love? We take on the onus to become the very thing that we desire to receive or that we believe that we need from others, and become it. Another one that's very popular, it is Mondays suck, and oh my gosh, it's almost Friday. Every day is an opportunity for us to shine, to rise and to shine. Every single day, we're blessed with the opportunity to rise and shine. Every day is a good day. Every day is a good day. Every day is an opportunity for you, for I, to rise and shine and to make that day as great as each of us are as trailblazing friends. I know tonight was a long Mind Style Makeover Mondays chat, but I just felt it on my heart to just have this elongated conversation with you. And This is live on YouTube. I'm also live on LinkedIn because I know that this may not post on Instagram because they only allow for a certain amount of time to post on there. So if you want to catch the replay of this, it will be on the YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe, you like, do all that good stuff, share it, okay? So one of the things that I want to say before I get off, coming up in September and October, my company is hosting the Own Your Story, Prioritize Your Well-Being workshop for leaders. And in this workshop, you can expect to learn how to boost your energy levels by over 300%, how to improve your mood and sleep quality, how to enhance your overall quality of life so you can continue to show up in those roles, those leadership roles that you have. Many of you have multiple of them as spouses, as parents, as leaders in your community, leaders in your organizations, leaders in your church. Many of you carry many multiple titles where you're serving so many people. And in this workshop, you're going to learn how to own your story so that you can continue to serve in the impactful way that you're doing so, because you're going to need your help. You need your help to do all of this serving and all of this work. It's very telling how easy it is to take for granted our health until it's not there. And I want to help you to not get to that point, for you to have the tools in your toolbox for you to implement immediately to enhance your overall quality of life. I'm telling you, you're going to love that you came. All right. So if you're watching this on Instagram, you can look somewhere in my bio. There is my link tree where you can register for this free training. Yes. This high quality transformative training is free to registered attendees. If you're not registered, you will not get in. Also, I want to let you know that seats are filling very fast for the October training and for Friday, September 13th. There are some slots still available for Thursday, September 12th, and there's slots open for Friday, September 13th. And a little bit more left for October, but you're going to have to act fast on that to secure your seats now. Okay. All right. If you have any questions about that, if you want to learn more about the Own Your Story, Prioritize Your Well-Being leadership workshop that's coming up in September or October, feel free to email me, contact us at TabithaChristopher.com, contact us at TabithaChristopher.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Until then, I'll be seeing you all later. God bless. Have the most amazing night.